coerced, bullied, it's a bit much.
If he truly was bullied or coerced by a broker or by an agent, he picked the wrong broker or agent. We were never required by a participation rule to offer anything.
You and I both know there's so much more involved than showing 5 houses and writing 2 offers.
What happens when something goes sideways? What happens when you have to actually negotiate?
It smells like somebody who has no idea what realtors do.
We can be mad, but this is our fault. Why didn't he pay his buddy lawyer who ended up making 300 M's? Why didn't he pay him a flat fee? It's only coming into scrutiny because people believe that you don't do anything.
I don't think it has legs, but I guess we'll see. All right, get a load of this. So, the plaintiff in the Sitzer NAR settlement, the plaintiff has created his own real estate tech startup. And this smells fishy. We're going to dig into a couple of articles that talk about it and give you kind of our take on this whole thing. By the way, make sure you take a moment to like and subscribe so you stay up to date with everything that's going on in the real estate industry. So let's talk about this thing. Okay, here's the article from TechCrunch. After winning a landmark case against real estate agents, this startup aims to replace them with a flat fee. And scroll down the article a little bit. Basically, the general idea here is that this company called Landian, which hate the name, it's supposed to be like what is beside the point. What's it supposed to be a mix? It's like
Land and
Guardian.
Yeah.
Landian. Anyway, it's dumb. But so the idea is that you'll pay a flat fee for someone to basically operate on your behalf. So if you want to see a house, $50. If you want to do 5 showings and 2 offers, it's like $1,700. And so it's a flat fee. Here's what the article says. And this is basically, remember, this is Josh Sitzer, who was the plaintiff in this class action lawsuit that took about 4 years from start to finish. And he said, due to the anti-competitive structure of the industry before the lawsuit, I, as the seller, was effectively coerced into paying 3% of my home's selling price to a buyer's agent in order to achieve a successful sale, he told TechCrunch. While hiring agents is a choice for many, I don't believe anyone should be bullied into paying for undesired services due to unfair industry practices, he added. Okay, let me just take that for a second. Coerced, bullied.
Yeah.
Those are really strong words that feel like it's a bit much.
Yeah,
Come on,
way
man.
much.
You weren't coerced. It's basically you were presented a document. I mean, this is how the industry works. You incentivize buyer's agents to come to the table. Maybe you didn't like it, great, but coercion is a strong word. And then basically being bullied into paying for undesired services. Look, I'm not trying to throw a bunch of shade. Maybe I am on this guy, but it just smells fishy that he's doing that. And then basically, as soon as this thing gets settled, within 2 months of this settlement becoming official,
this
we've
was
got a
his plan
text
all
on it.
along. Yeah, this was his plan all along.
It had to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think he had a choice from the get-go, right? I mean, if you don't like it, he could have listed his home for sale by owner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was, not to say that you should. Do I think you're going to get the best price for your home listing for sale by owner? No. But I mean, if he didn't want to pay real estate agents because he doesn't think they do anything, he had that option.
Right.
Or he had the option to hire an agent that didn't require him to pay a buyer's agent commission, which was totally on the table even before the lawsuit.
It was on the table before the lawsuit. So I just don't understand the coercion and the bullying.
That sounds to me, if he truly was bullied or coerced by a broker or by an agent, he picked the wrong broker or agent.
Yeah.
You have options. You are in the driver's seat. It is your home.
Right.
I mean, we can advise you that we think it's the best to offer compensation to the buyer's agent, which we do.
Yep.
But that's advising you. I'm not going to force you to do that.
I can't.
Yeah. Or, and if I strongly believe that it's a bad idea, I'll just walk away.
I'll just
pick another agent.
Pick another agent. Go do something else. Yeah.
I don't understand this other than it was a play for him to start a business that he thought was going to succeed. There's other people that have tried this, and there's other people who are trying it now, these flat fee companies.
Sitzer shared his frustration with his neighbor, who happened to be a lawyer familiar with the subject matter. By 2019, he and other homeowners had filed a class action lawsuit against the NAR. What do you think that was like? I mean, what was the conversation? He's like, man, I got to pay this agent on the buyer side. And the lawyer's like, hey, let's create a class action lawsuit.
You want to know why I want to ask is why didn't he pay his buddy lawyer who ended up making 300 M's on this whole deal? Why didn't he pay him a flat fee?
Great question.
I mean,
I know.
So now all these professional people are supposed to take flat fees for their business. Are you just going to pay, your legal team a flat fee?
Right.
No,
that's
not happening.
Yeah. Can we scroll down this article a little bit more? Okay. So we've got that. Okay, so to take advantage of the new landscape, Sitzer has teamed up with Bryce Galen and Neil Batra, which I don't know anything about these guys, other than they had a previous startup that I think they sold. So it looks like they're tech startup guys, but I don't know. That's speculative. Which aims to help homeowners benefit from the rule change that resulted from the lawsuit by offering flat fee real estate agents on demand. Then let's scroll down a little bit more.
Well, actually, I want to stay right there for a second.
Sure.
So the National Association of Realtors, I don't like this language in the article, and it's a tech company writing this article, but let's stop here for a second. The National Association of Realtors agreed to pay $418 million in damages to settle lawsuits. The association also agreed to abolish the participation rule that required sell-side agents to make an offer of compensation to the buyer's brokers. That's not true.
It's not true.
That's not true. And I don't know about your MLS, but I know in the 4 states that we operate in, consistently, we were never required by a participation rule to offer anything.
That's right.
That was always negotiable, always has been, always will be, always should be. And in fact, there were times where we would advise people to take a lower commission to win a deal.
Yeah.
And not saying that every time it should work out that way, because there's transactions that are more difficult than others, but all the time we would advise people, hey, look, if this is a layup transaction for you and you just need to get some business rolling, offer a commission that's less.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't like that language in the article. Again, it's a tech company writing it, so I don't fault them too much, but it bolsters this feeling that people always had to pay, and that was just never the case.
Well, and what's been interesting though, after we're sitting at just over a month after this whole thing has rolled out, and really, guess what? Sellers are still paying buyer's agent commission. I'm just not sure what this all accomplished other than kind of what we're dealing with here, this startup here. Okay. Let's see. From what I understand, I'm trying to remember where I read it. He can't IPO it yet. He's probably just taking
beta. It's in beta.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So buyers have the option to pay a la carte for Landian's offering, $49 for each home tour, $199 for an offer prep session. If they want more hand-holding, they can cough up a flat fee of $17.99, which includes up to 5 home tours and 2 offer prep sessions with additional services on a la carte basis. I would do that, I guess. Well, $1,800 and I'll go show 5 houses.
But people already think real estate agents don't do anything. This perpetuates that idea. I mean, what happens when something goes sideways? What happens when you have to actually negotiate? What happens when there's an issue with inspection? What happens when you don't understand what contingencies mean, which most all buyers don't? What happens when your lender doesn't come through? All these different things. I mean, there's so much risk involved in these transactions. And you think an agent sitting behind a desk who doesn't know you from Adam is going to write you some kind of offer and explain all this to you for $199? They're not. Yeah. This is bad.
Well, here's the thing, as I was leading up to, is like, I would do that if I didn't have to do anything else. If you just said, hey, I have 5 houses and write 2 offers, and I had no other commitment other than that. But here's the problem. You and I both know there's so much more involved than showing 5 houses and writing 2 offers to get this thing from start to finish. And it doesn't make sense at some point, there's going to be homeowners that are like, they're not wanting to cough up money all the time to go look at houses. They're not wanting to cough up money all the time. I just don't see it working long term, like on an a la carte basis.
Yeah. And you're going to be paying for all these services. What if we have people we work with that we show homes to for a period of time and never end up buying. Right. But what if they end up, paying $50 a showing and, all this money out, and then something happens and they're not able to buy. Right.
It smells like somebody who has no idea what realtors do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but
because that's what he thinks. He thinks it's just what it seems like is that it's like, okay, well, you're just opening doors and putting paperwork together.
We can be mad, but this is our fault. Our fault, meaning real estate agents.
Yeah.
Like, we have never been great at communicating our value.
True.
We have always treated ourselves as drop anything, open some doors, write some contracts. And that's what people think you do now.
Yeah.
And so if you don't become a great educator, you don't do your buyer consultations, you don't talk to them about these different scenarios that could come up, you don't be a great risk mitigator, then you are just someone who's going to open some doors and write some contracts and not be able to thoroughly explain it. Part of this is too, the barrier entry to our profession is rather low.
Yeah.
Rather low. You don't have to go to law school. You don't have to do this.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you don't communicate your value. People think you don't do anything. That's why there's a whole South Park episode dedicated to real estate agents don't do anything.
Yeah. They don't do anything. All you have to do is like show up, shake people's hands, and you make money. All right, let's go to the next. So there was an article that came out the day after this one, which is from Redfin, which, by the way, here's the other thing that I can tell you, being in this industry for a while, when it comes to tech startup or startup businesses that are extremely innovative, there's an idea from agents. They're like, oh my gosh, my job's gone. And what I can tell you is like living through a lot of this, living through Zillow and their impact on the marketplace, living through Redfin. Everybody's like, well, they're advertising 4% listings, so everybody's going to go to Redfin. That didn't happen, right? They're just attracting a certain market segment. I've seen tech startups that come and go, and so just don't let this like freak you out. And what was interesting is Redfin's commentary on this, which, the first thing is they were kind of like nice about it. And then they said something about, are we looking at, there we go. Can you scroll down just a little bit? Oh, Redfin is skeptical about the flat fee model, although it described Landian as a brother in arms, eager like us to give consumers a better deal. Okay. The 18-year-old company once tried a similar model and explains why it didn't work. When we tried this before in a fiercely competitive housing market, we struggled to win on behalf of customers the offer writing agent hadn't met for listings that agent hadn't seen, a spokesperson said. We also learned that when customers want to call on the expertise of one person, morning, noon, and night, you have to pay that person very, very well. For now, we believe we can offer home buyers the best value by using redfin.com. I'm not going to. Yeah. But anyway,
shocker that you have to pay somebody very, very well if you want to be able to pick up the phone and get them to do something at 9:00 at night. Shocker that if you change from wanting to buy in this county and you move 2 counties over and they've got to shift everything and go 2 counties over to show you some properties. Shocker that you need to pay them. Right. Like this is not surprising. And I don't understand. Well, I do understand it. Again, we perpetuate the idea by not talking about the value that we provide.
Sure. But yeah, I think this brought out something, and I saw Redfin go through this, watched it sort of happen in real time, which was there were a lot of agents that were working for Redfin, and they're like, I'm getting my butt kicked here, like running around town showing all these houses, and I'm just not making very much money. Yeah. And then my best friend who's over at XYZ Realty, they're making a full 3% or whatever the case may be. And so you're always going to be battling in this sort of scenario, whether it's Landian, whether it's Redfin, you're always going to be battling someone's ability to make more commission, right? And so for someone who is a real estate agent and they start seeing, because they know their friends that are in the industry are making 2.5% or 3%. And after an amount of time, they're going to be like, okay, I'm going to go over here and make more money. Yeah, absolutely. Because this is real estate it's a difficult business that requires a lot of expertise. Okay. So you've got to be an entrepreneur. You got to be a marketer. You got to be a salesperson. You got to be a counselor in some scenarios. You got to be a financial advisor, risk mitigation. You got to be really organized to do this well. And you ought to get paid well for this. Yeah. It's hard work. It's hard work. It's hard work. And yes, there's deals at, sometimes that come across that are much easier and you would be more than willing to cut your commission because it just didn't turn out to be that much work.
But there's also deals that end up being a ton of work that take a year to get somebody to the closing table, but to work them through their process. And those end up being more work than you anticipated. And maybe you do fight for your commission in those scenarios. We're not saying that you can never cut from 3%. We've always advocated for working through it as a negotiation with all the parties involved.
Basis. Yeah.
So, and that shouldn't change. Like the amount of work that you're providing and the expertise you're bringing to the table is worth something.
Yeah,
and
no question
it has
at
to
all.
be fought for. Or you'll end up with companies like this who treat it as just an a la carte service that you can just, anybody off the street can write these offers or open these doors. And, you're going to get burned at some point.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to go. They might be able to pull it out. Maybe they'll get through a couple of years and IPO or something, and that'll give them an influx of cash to keep them alive. I just don't see that this model is going to be, I don't think it's going to attract really good realtors to do it. And I don't think it has legs.
And it's a lot of risk, right?
Huge risk.
So let's say that you are a licensed local agent that's going to be writing these $49 or opening these $49 doors and writing these $199 offers. And then let's say that somebody doesn't understand that they can't back out at the last minute, is forced to close on this house, and they sue you. Mm-hmm. What are you going to say? Right. Oh, well, I didn't explain it to him because that's not part of my job anymore. Yeah, right. It is your job. Yeah. You're a licensed agent.
Right. Yeah. And you're going to be fiduciary to somebody for just some offer writing. I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's too much complexity and there's too much legality. Anyway, I don't think it has legs, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's been tried before, and people kind of cycle back to what works. And this model has worked for a very long time. They changed the model in the late 80s, early 90s to add cooperative compensation because people couldn't pay for the showing services leading up to the transaction, knowing that they were about to have to buy a house. Yeah. And so this has worked for a long time, and it's only coming into scrutiny because people believe that you don't do anything. Mm-hmm. So show them that you do.
Right. That's a very good point. All right. Well, guys, thank you guys for joining us this week. Again, stay tuned. We'll have more for you next week. Bye.